igual, siguen los vientos, sigue todo. No hay indicio que baje, no hay.
Ya está cubriendo prácticamente.
On July 31st, 2025, southern Peru experienced a weather event that left an indelible mark on the memory of thousands. That day, a massive sandstorm swept through several cities in the region without warning, engulfing them in a thick, suffocating cloud of dust. The magnitude of the phenomenon shocked both residents and experts, as nothing of this intensity had ever been recorded in an urban area of the country. The day began under seemingly normal conditions, until a sudden shift in wind direction started lifting dust from the desert plains near Nazca.
A ver, atentos, atentos, atentos todos, atentos.
What initially seemed like another gust of the typical viento Paracas quickly escalated into a wall of dust moving rapidly toward the cities. Streets that had been full of life just moments before were soon deserted, while the sky turned darker with an increasingly brown hue. Nazca was among the first to feel the impact. Wind gusts exceeded 40 kilometers per hour, kicking up so much sand that visibility dropped to near zero. Businesses, schools, and homes shut down abruptly. People caught off guard sought shelter wherever they could. Many used clothes, scarves, or any piece of fabric to cover their faces as the dust penetrated every corner without resistance. In Paracas, the situation was no different. The wind grew so strong that the Port Authority ordered the immediate closure of El Chaco and La Puntilla docks, halting all maritime and tourist activity. Boats that had already left the harbor were forced to return in emergency conditions. Maritime visibility was dangerously low, putting crews and fishermen at serious risk. Ica and Pisco were also swallowed by the advancing cloud. Images shared from different locations showed avenues buried in dust, collapsed rooftops, and fallen power lines. People ran for safety while cars stranded on the road turned on their headlights to try and see through the haze. In some areas, the dust was so thick it felt like nightfall in the middle of the afternoon. Authorities responded by activating emergency protocols. The Ministry of Health launched a special monitoring program for potential respiratory issues, especially in children and the elderly. Medical teams were deployed to reinforce healthcare centers, while citizens were urged to stay indoors at all costs. Masks quickly sold out in pharmacies and local shops. Peru's National Meteorological Agency, CENAMI, issued an orange alert for the region. It warned that the strong winds could persist until the weekend and that similar events might reoccur in the following hours. Additionally, the South Pacific anticyclone, a high-pressure system responsible for the airflow, had intensified in recent days, accelerating wind speeds. This type of storm is locally known as viento Paracas, a recurring seasonal event in this part of the country. However, it's rare for it to reach the strength seen on this occasion. Experts explain that the perfect storm was created by a combination of extremely dry soil, high temperatures, and accelerated winds. The consequences extended far beyond infrastructure. Daily life was completely disrupted. Classes were suspended, public transportation halted, and many workers couldn't reach their jobs. Dust infiltrated every kind of space, from markets to offices, damaging electronic devices and leaving a brown film over every surface. Agricultural areas also suffered the aftermath. On the outskirts of Ica, entire crop fields were exposed to wind erosion. Young plants, in particular, were severely damaged due to lack of protection and the sheer amount of airborne particles. farmers reported losses that were still being assessed. Amid the chaos, the public reacted by sharing images and videos that captured the scope of the disaster. Social media flooded with dramatic scenes. Children wrapped in blankets, cars completely covered in sand, and buildings seemingly dissolving into the storm. The viral content spread so fast that international media picked up the story within hours. Local authorities had to strengthen their communication efforts. Emergency hotlines were activated, and specific recommendations were broadcast. Close windows and doors, protect electronics, wear face coverings, and avoid any unnecessary exposure. Still, many residents had no choice but to face the storm directly. What shocked most people was the speed at which everything happened. The storm gave no time to prepare. Within less than an hour, visibility went from clear to non-existent. In that same span, the entire landscape of these cities changed. Storefronts vanished behind layers of dust, traffic lights disappeared from view, and business signs looked as if they'd been abandoned for years. Nazca, world famous for its mysterious desert geoglyphs, was not spared from the storm's force. Although no direct damage was reported to the lines themselves, many were temporarily covered by the shifting sand. Satellite images confirmed visual disruption of the terrain, sparking concern among archaeologists and conservation experts. As the storm gradually lost strength, its lingering effects remained. The air was still heavy with suspended particles, forcing authorities to keep alerts in place throughout the following day. Streets slowly began to clear, but the unease among residents lingered. The recovery was slow. Cleanup crews worked around the clock to remove dust from roads, rooftops, markets, and public buildings. Officials stated that this was one of the most severe events recorded in recent years in the region, and that returning to normalcy would take time. The economic impact was also significant. Tourism, a major source of income in places like Paracas and Nazca, came to a halt. Reservations were canceled, flights delayed, and local tour operators faced losses that have yet to be fully calculated. Many requested government support to help recover. This event served as a stark reminder of how fragile urban life can be in the face of nature's unpredictability.
¿Qué es esto?
While these types of winds are not new, their growing intensity calls for a reassessment of prevention strategies and emergency preparedness. For many residents, it was the first time experiencing something of this scale. For everyone, it was a wake-up call. The climate is changing, and it's doing so with increasing violence. The southern cities of Peru will need to be more prepared than ever. As homes reopen and businesses slowly resume, what remains etched in the collective memory is the image of a brown sky that swallowed entire neighborhoods.
Ica, Henry, Ica.
A sandstorm that didn't just bring dust, but uncertainty, fear, and an urgent lesson in vulnerability. What happened in Ica, Nazca, Pisco, and Paracas was not just a storm. It was a warning, an event that forced people to witness the raw power of nature and realize how little control we truly have. And as the dust begins to settle, one truth remains. The real challenge isn't just cleaning up, but being ready for whatever may come next.
La Henry, mira, si se echó de noche.